I had just spent 3 days generally tiddling around the upper reaches of Etive, taking my time, poking around a bit, as is my habit. The weather and geography was kicking up a typical west coast sequence of tiny but intensely vicious little squalls that came barrelling along this southwest facing loch. Half-mile wide kiss curls of turbulence in a generally strong southwesterly flow. They're small enough to be guided by the steep-sided banks of Etive. The squalls came bouncing down the loch like marbles down a run. Each 20-hour northern day might dish up half a dozen such tiny tempests. Sometimes I toughed it out, hove to, while drifting in the right direction. Or at worst, madly motoring for a patch of meagre shelter behind an islet.
Lovely. Look, that's lovely. Look. Look, you see that brightness over there, don't you see that? Yes, I can see the hills here. Can you see the hills there?
I spent hours on the hook, cowering behind modest promontories made of marginally harder rock. It meant that over the 3 days I spent up Loch Etive, there were at least 20 daylight hours squandered sitting under the spray hood, waiting for the bad stuff to blow through. The days, though, were long, so there were plenty of top-notch weather breaks to enjoy, when the constantly changing Scottish light sprinkled its all-round wonderfulness over views that are 25 miles across. As Frank Cooper dryly says in his book about the West Coast, Etive is to be enjoyed as the weather allows. The tea lights were, I confess, my only form of heat, and drying wet foul ears was a constant struggle. Below decks, day by day, the Scottish wet was slowly winning. All was damp around me. But between the squalls, wonderful. To be running down Etive with the setting sun on your back as the clouds rearrange themselves overhead and the mountains of the Scottish heartland reveal themselves one by one, all viewed from the cockpit of your own boat as she surges her way through this jewel of a landscape, is a wonderful thing for an old bloke to experience. After 3 days of jamboree bag Scottish weather, I found myself motoring over the Falls of Connell at 5 knots through the water, but 11 over the ground. My plan was to sweep past Ardmucknish Bay, across the bottom of the Linn of Lorne, around the dainty tip of Lismore, skirting Lady Rock, and then cunningly catch the 3 or 4 knots of tide schlepping up the Sound of Mull.
It's been pretty much like this all week, with sunshine and showers. We've had some pretty amazing squalls come through. Still, you can see there's more to play for yet today.
Making the trip from Etive to Moidart, I was leaving English-loving, perfidious, turncoat Protestant Campbell land and making an 80-mile, deep penetration passage into the heart of Catholic, French sympathetic Clanranald and Stuart territory. As the tide sweeps majestically up the Sound of Mull, boats cross an international and interfaith border between Protestant Low Country European culture of England and into the Catholic-dominated Europe where Paris, Rome and Madrid held sway. Here's a thing. Clan chiefs were as sophisticated and well-educated as any random bunch of 17th century European aristocrats. Their children received good schooling and were expected to go to university. Well, the boys anyway. But while the Protestant English sympathising Campbell clan chiefs of Oban and Etive or thereabouts sent their children to Oxford and Cambridge, the Catholic Clanranald coalition sent theirs to Paris and Rome. Midsummer hereabouts, it's light by 3 in the morning and falls dark well after 11. I seem to need little or no sleep when the nights are so short. When the light appears at 3, I'm up and ready to sail. As often as not, the fading light at 11 at night will find me still at the helm. I feel supercharged by the tremendous length of the daylight hours up here. I'm a Celt. My hair was once red. The blood is tolerant of cold and my see-through skin is excellent at sunburn and turning meagre amounts of light into vitamin D. Not a bad skill to have under current circumstances. So I nipped into Tobermory Harbour and dropped the hook in a quiet corner, cooked some lunch and then snatched a quick ziz through the strength of the countertide.
Call into Tobermory for a brief afternoon kip. I am waiting for the worst of the foul tide to pass. So now I'm sailing on, heading for Moidart.
As the long summer evening came on, I poked my bow out between Mull and the Calf and joined the tide rushing through the outer sound.
The sun is shining, hooray! Ardnamurchan Point. Very very famous in the shipping forecasts. It's funny how a piece of forecasting can turn places into iconic names. Sun's come out, wind's behind me, very nice. It's 8:30, so I've got another couple of hours of daylight. Between times I've been reading this book, somebody sent it to me, Richard Clubley, Scotland's Islands. The man can write pretty well. Needs editing a bit, not much. Very good though. He loves islands. I think I could live on one. Of course I do live on one. Since I came round the point, there have been these things just blowing in behind us. You see, in a westerly gale, this place must cut up pretty rough. Moidart. It's now 9:10 at night. The sun's got, there's still another good couple of hours in this yet, which is great. So with any luck, I shall just film the sunset. It's been a lovely, lovely day. Thanks, boys. Had it not been for the PayPal taps, I would just be schlepping up and down the Blackwater in Essex, whereas now I'm out here. thanks to you guys. It's a really good view. It means a lot to me.
Sanna, Carrick and Ockle passed by to starboard through the long-lived northern dusk.